Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1141, Chapter. The wind of the sect grounds carried faint whispers, yet distance blurred all sound into silence. From afar, Linghan could only rely on his eyes, and what he saw caused a subtle ripple to pass through his heart. A green-robed young man stood before Shui Yanyu, his posture eager, his lips moving incessantly, as if weaving honeyed words. Yet the woman before him stood like a statue carved from eternal frost, unmoved, unyielding. Her gaze was cold, her expression distant, as though the world itself was unworthy of her attention. 2 years had passed since Linghan last beheld her. Yet time had only sharpened her beauty. She was still breathtaking, still the woman whose presence could still the winds and quiet the heart. But now, a layer of icy aloofness cloaked her, pushing all others away. She was no longer merely a gentle beauty. She had become something loftier, something untouchable, a queen of ice. And yet, paradoxically, it was precisely this coldness that gave her a subtle arrogance, an air of nobility that made her even more alluring. The faint resemblance stirred something within Ling Han, a memory, a presence. The shadow of Empress Luan Xing. For a fleeting moment, that domineering, enchanting figure surfaced in his mind once more. The Empress's charm was like a lingering fragrance that refused to dissipate, appearing in his thoughts unbidden. Ling Han shook his head sharply, as if to cast away a lingering illusion. To think of another woman while standing before Shui Yanyu, that would not do. His gaze sharpened, and without hesitation, he strode forward. After all, his woman was being pestered by a loathsome fly. How could he stand idly by? As the distance between them rapidly closed, voices finally began to drift into his ears. "Junior Sister Shui, why not accompany me to Northern Goshawk Gorge later? I've heard a godly medicine has appeared there. Many disciples have already rushed over to try their luck." The green-robed youth spoke with enthusiasm, his tone brimming with confidence. Shui Yanyu's expression darkened slightly, and her voice cut through the air like frost-laden steel. "Bihua, how many times must I tell you? Stop following me." As she spoke, her right hand lifted slightly, and a chill spread outward. Frost condensed over her fingers, crystalline and biting. Her anger had finally surfaced, yet even in anger, she remained captivating. Her fury did not repel. Rather, it deepened her charm, like a blooming, icy lotus that demanded both reverence and fear. Bihua's eyes lit up even further at the sight. From the moment Shui Yanyu had entered the sect, he had already marked her as his pride, his status and influence. He had ensured no one dared compete with him. In his mind, she already belonged to him alone. And yet, she had never once smiled at him. That cold rejection only fueled his obsession further. He would pluck this snowy lotus. He would make her smile. A surge of desire rose in his chest, wild and uncontrollable, urging him to conquer her completely. At that very moment, "Hey, your eyeballs are about to fall out." A calm yet teasing voice broke the tension. Ling Han stepped forward, casually inserting himself between the two, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Shui Yanyu's brows immediately knit together in displeasure. She took several steps back without hesitation. Though she detested Bihua, that did not mean she would allow another man to approach her. In her eyes, Ling Han was no different, just another who had come because of her beauty. Bihua, however, was instantly enraged. Who was this nobody who dared interfere in his affairs? He coughed lightly, suppressing his irritation, and asked with a faint sneer, "Junior brother, you look unfamiliar. Which uncle are you under?" Within the majestic heaven sect, hierarchy was everything. Ordinary and key disciples were all taught by Sun Moon tier elites, whom they addressed as teacher. Only if the relationship deepened would it become that of master and disciple. But seated disciples were different. They received guidance directly from heavenly body tier elites, and no single master bound them. Even Venerable Trinity himself would occasionally appear to guide them. Ling Han grinned, utterly unbothered. "Junior brother, are your eyes blind? I am your senior brother." The words struck like thunder. Bihua's face darkened instantly. He was a key disciple. His identity alone was enough to intimidate countless others. Ling Han bore no sign of being a seed, and Bihua recognized all key disciples. There was only one conclusion. This man was merely an ordinary disciple, and yet such a person dared to call himself senior brother? Within the same cultivation tier, ordinary disciples must address key disciples with respect. To reverse that order, it was nothing short of defiance, even treason. "How dare you?" Bihua's voice turned cold. By now, several passersby had gathered. A free spectacle was always worth watching, and whispers began to spread, analyzing Bihua's strength and status in detail. Ling Han merely tilted his head slightly. "What? Not convinced?" "Convinced your head," Bihua roared. He struck without hesitation. Hong, his fist tore through the air, origin power surging forth and manifesting into a black wolf that lunged toward Ling Han with ferocious intent. The attack carried martial intent, and over 30 divine patterns flickered within it. Though not his full strength, it was at least 70 to 80% of his power, a crushing blow from a key disciple. Ling Han reacted as if caught off guard. He threw out over 10 punches in quick succession, barely managing to disperse the attack. Yi, who is this person? He struggled, but he still managed to break Bihua's strike. That's no small feat. Bihua has already reached the peak of consummate level. If this person isn't stronger in cultivation, then his abilities must be exceptional. "Do we have such a disciple on Blackwater Peak?" They exchanged glances, all shaking their heads. Bihua, seeing Ling Han's seemingly strained defense, immediately relaxed. As expected, in the same cultivation realm, how could an ordinary disciple rival a key disciple? He pressed forward, unleashing one powerful attack after another, each strike fierce and relentless. Ling Han continued to defend, deliberately appearing somewhat disheveled, carefully controlling the situation so Shui Yanyu would not grow suspicious. And indeed, she did not recognize him. She merely observed from the side, her expression neutral, showing no inclination toward either side. In her mind, Ling Han had only intervened because he, too, coveted her beauty. A meaningless struggle, but suddenly, Ling Han lost interest. Playing with a man? How could that compare to being with his wife? Pang! His fist shot out like lightning, landing squarely on Bihua's face. The latter was sent flying instantly. Silence fell. The onlookers stood frozen, mouths agape. That was Bihua, a key disciple. This must be a coincidence. How else could such a thing happen? Even Bihua himself thought so. He had clearly seen the punch coming too late, unable to react in time. But that must have been carelessness. He leaped back to his feet with a roar and charged once more. Pang! 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 After several exchanges, a kick struck his lower abdomen, sending him flying again. Another coincidence? A twitch appeared on Bihua's cheek. He rushed forward again, unwilling to accept reality. But within just a few moves, Pa slap sent him flying once more. This time, no one could deny it. There was no such thing as so many coincidences. Hey, what's everyone watching? A newcomer pushed through the crowd, curiosity shining in his eyes. But the moment he saw the scene, he burst into laughter. "What is it?" someone nearby asked. "Ha ha ha! Bihua is digging his own grave," the newcomer laughed loudly. "This senior brother here is the super genius who was accepted as a seed yesterday, as an exception. He even shattered senior sister Gan Shiyun's goddess furnace with brute force." The crowd collectively spat out in shock. Within the vast and solemn grounds of the majestic heaven sect, the hierarchy of disciples was as clear as the flow of rivers beneath heaven and earth. Among tens of thousands of newly accepted disciples, only 1,000 would ascend to the rank of key disciples. Yet above even them stood the chosen few, those known as seeds. Their number was pitifully small, never exceeding 100, and in certain years, not even reaching a score. These seeds were not merely talented, they were legends in the making. Across countless ages, ordinary and key disciples had never produced a heavenly body tier elite. But among the seeds, such miracles were not only possible, they were expected. 1 in every 10 seeds would ultimately pierce through the heavens and step into that exalted realm. This ratio, terrifying in its implications, stood in stark contrast to the cruel truth of cultivation. Among Shattering Void tier cultivators, only 1 in 10 could even advance to the Mountain River tier. Beyond that lay 6 minor levels and 2 great tiers, each a mountain impossible to scale. From billions upon billions, perhaps only a single soul would ever reach the heavenly body tier. And yet, for seeds, 10%. Such was the might of true genius. And now, before their very eyes, Ling Han stood revealed as one of these seeds. A ripple of shock surged through the gathered disciples. Their gazes trembled, their hearts shaken. Yet beneath that shock, a strange amusement bubbled forth. Hadn't Bihua just accused this man of arrogance, of acting as though he were some lofty senior brother? And now? The truth had been unveiled. Ling Han truly stood above them all. Bihua's face darkened to a deep maroon, humiliation burning like fire through his veins. Every word he had spoken moments ago now returned to him like a resounding slap. His eyes locked onto Ling Han, filled with resentment. But no matter how fiercely that resentment burned, he did not dare let it turn into action. To seek revenge against a seed? That was no different from courting death. Clutching his face, Bihua staggered back, retreating like a defeated dog. The will to fight had long since shattered within him. A seed was not someone he could contend against. The difference in strength was too vast. At that moment, Ling Han turned his gaze toward Shu Yanyu, a playful grin curving upon his lips. "Girl," he said lightly, "I've saved you. Shouldn't you repay me? With yourself?" A stunned silence fell over the crowd. What kind of words were these? In broad daylight, before the eyes of all, he dared to speak so brazenly, to take liberties with a woman without the slightest restraint? Even if he was a seed, was this not too overbearing? This was the majestic heaven sect, a sacred ground where order and discipline reigned supreme. If even the safety of disciples could not be guaranteed, what meaning would the sect have left? Shu Yanyu's expression remained cold, like frost upon a winter lake. "Thank you," she said, her voice devoid of warmth. Bihua did not leave. Instead, he lingered, a twisted anticipation stirring within him. He wished to see Ling Han humiliated, to see Shu Yanyu reject him, just as she had rejected him countless times before. And indeed, hope flickered in his heart. Even a seed would not receive her favor. A bitter satisfaction began to rise within him. "What if I insist?" Ling Han stepped forward, spreading his arms as though he were a tyrant claiming his bride by force. "The sect has its rules," Shu Yanyu replied icily. She did not believe he would dare cross that line. The elders would never allow it. Ling Han chuckled softly. "You are my wife. It is destined." This time he spoke not with disguise, but with his true voice. In that instant, Shu Yanyu froze. A tremor ran through her delicate frame. Surprise blossomed upon her face, mingled with disbelief, and a cautious hope. A voice alone could not confirm everything. "But come," Ling Han said, his tone warm and familiar. "Let me hold you." Without waiting for her response, he stepped forward and pulled her into his embrace. Gasps erupted from all directions. He actually did it? Before all their eyes, this seed-level genius had truly taken liberties with a junior sister. Was he courting death? No matter how exceptional his talent, defying the rules of the sect so openly would surely bring punishment. And yet, the moment Shu Yanyu was enveloped in his arms, her senses stirred. That scent, that presence, it was him. Her heart surged with emotion. Without hesitation, she lifted her arms and returned the embrace. Pooh! The crowd nearly choked on their own breath. What was happening? She had yielded so easily? None of them knew the truth, that these two had long been bound together. To them, it seemed as though Shu Yanyu had been conquered in an instant. Regret flooded their hearts like a raging tide. Had they known earlier, they too might have acted boldly. This beauty, it seemed, favored strength above all else. Bihua could no longer endure. A mouthful of blood burst from his lips. His heart twisted with unbearable injustice. He had pursued her tirelessly, only to be ignored. And yet Ling Han, with a single domineering act, had melted her into tenderness. Was he not the greatest fool under heaven? After 2 years of separation, Shu Yanyu's suppressed emotions erupted like a blazing inferno. She lifted her head and kissed Ling Han with all the passion she had held within. Ling Han, of course, did not retreat. He responded in kind, deepening the kiss. "Wah!" The surrounding disciples erupted into chaos, curses flying in all directions. But beneath their words lay only envy, bitter, burning envy. Then, a terrifying presence descended. Like the shadow of a celestial mountain pressing upon their souls, an icy chill swept through the crowd. It pierced into the depths of their being, freezing even their thoughts. One by one, they collapsed. "Papa!" Bodies struck the ground in unison. Only Ling Han remained standing. Even Shu Yanyu lost her strength, her body going limp as she trembled within his arms. Ling Han's expression changed. He turned sharply and saw her. Hu Feiyan stood there, her gaze dark and unfathomable. The overwhelming aura emanating from her was like the will of the heavens themselves. But Ling Han knew This was not Hu Feiyan. This was Empress Luan Xing. In the Heavenly Sea Mystery Realm, he had once witnessed this phenomenon, the Empress manifesting through Hu Feiyan in a mysterious manner. And now she had appeared once more. But why? There was no danger here. Then a thought struck him. Could it be jealousy? The idea seemed absurd, yet no other explanation presented itself. Ling Han gently set Shu Yanyu aside and strode forward without hesitation. In a single motion, he grasped Hu Feiyan's wrist. "Come with me." The Empress's eyes widened slightly. A surge of power gathered as though she might cast him aside with a single thought, yet for reasons even she could not explain. Her heart softened. She did not resist. Together they departed, leaving behind a stunned and trembling crowd. Soon they arrived at White Frost Peak and entered Ling Han's residence. Ling Han turned to her, his gaze sharp. "What exactly is wrong with you?" Empress Luan Xing snorted coldly. "What right do you have to question me?" "Just now, you nearly killed me," Ling Han replied, his voice rising with anger. "And you say I have no right to ask why?" In truth, even the Empress herself did not understand. Her appearance had been driven by impulse, an unbidden reaction she could not suppress. But to admit such a thing, impossible. "I will kill whoever I wish," she declared arrogantly. "No reason is needed." Her pride stood tall, yet her heart was in turmoil. Ling Han studied her for a long moment, then exhaled. "Fine," he said. "Then I will tell you some of my secrets. In return, you will tell me yours. No more hiding." The Empress nearly laughed in disbelief. Who did he think he was? A mere mountain river tier cultivator daring to bargain with her. A heavenly body tier existence? When had such a realm become so insignificant? Yet, memories surfaced. Fragments of the past 2 years, their encounters, their clashes. And then, that moment, when she had leapt toward him, her cheeks flushed faintly, her heart stirring uncontrollably. Without realizing it, her imposing presence weakened ever so slightly. Ling Han seized the moment. "Do not resist," he said, his tone firm yet calm. "I will bring you into my spatial god tool."